What's going on, YouTube? So, in light of everything that's going on in the world, um, I find it interesting how, well, for example, in the US, which is where I currently am, right? Um, there's talks of bailouts, or as far as infusing an untold amount of money into the market and specifically into the hands of the American people, business owners as well, by way of loans or emergency loans. Um, Universal basic income is a thing that has been in the talks for a number of years. Andrew Yang, who's no longer in the race to become president, of course, people know, his thing was UBI, at least allowing $1,000 a month for every adult 18 years or older um, to have, right? You have cryptocurrency who, you know, I guess is the best, has offered the best chances to generate universal basic income. You know, some projects have been successful in doing that, but just the amount of income fluctuates because the market is volatile and it's still in its early stages compared to all these other economic and financial systems that have been in existence, right? So now the president of the United States is considering doing things in a quote unquote big way or big move to have Americans have money within the next 2 weeks, average of $1,000. Not per month, but just here, take this thousand and use it however you wish. They're trying to, they say that they're trying to spike the the economic movement in the country because everything is slowly grinding to a halt. When you have businesses that are just closed, that are forced to be closed, just the flow, the flow of cash is it's decreasing. So they want to put $1,000 in your hands within the next 2 weeks, and you don't know. And then there's like different plans, right? Different senators have offered different plans. Mitt Romney offered a plan, something along the lines of UBI as well. Um, Senator Booker has also offered, him and I think three or two other elected officials offered um, a plan where people can receive up to 2,000 instead of 1,000, and possibly if this crisis continues through July, a person could receive $1,500. I forget the specifics on his proposal, but these are all plans and these are all talks that are on the table. Andrew Yang, although he's no longer running for, office, his initiative with UBI appeared to have been like unpopular. But I find it funny how now people are trying to consider giving Americans money, which we all know, if you understand economics and inflation, this money, this bailouts, all it does is dilute the cash that already is in existence out there, because if you're printing money out of thin air, you're watering down everything that's already present, right? So, people just, I'm not saying that, well, look, blockchain technology has really made strides to be ahead of the curve, the current curve of markets as it stands, you know? And folks are resistant to change. People don't like change. But it's in times like these, like this type of time that's uncharted, unprecedented, there's so much uncertainty. Um, you can see how blockchain tech can benefit people. In the U.S., they're helping people to understand the necessary nature of self quarantine. And in, I believe, as of today, in Oakland, in San Francisco, the western part of the country, there's a lockdown that's taking place, right? So they spoon feed you information slowly so that you can become a little bit more or get used to the idea of the hammer that's about to drop. What I'm saying is they're giving you the chance to slowly make the decision to keep yourself indoors, and sooner than later you will be forced to keep yourself indoors, right? And at the same time, when your income is cut, how do you survive? When your income, you no longer are receiving any money to take care of yourself, much less your family and children, how are you going to survive? If something like universal basic income can provide uh, some type of relief, then and blockchain tech can introduce that, then this is something, I think, an opportunity for uh, a great opportunity for allowing blockchain technology to show this supreme use case right now more than ever. Um, People took passive income, and people talk about passive income all the time, but again, we don't know what we have until we lose it. When you have projects that are producing passive income, but it's nominal compared to what we really need to survive, you could see the potential. But if the market is scared, if the emotional state of everyone is, um, inundated and riddled with fear, it's going to be a slow process to get us to really understand how cryptocurrency, blockchain tech can help us through various use cases, and mainly UBI, Universal Basic Income, where you can sustain yourself. At the lowest point, you can still sustain yourself. I haven't been following other projects as of late, or any other dApps, because of the way things are in the climate of the world at this point. But there are projects that are still successful, um, you know, and that's what's very telling, because allowing ourselves to receive this cash, who wouldn't take $1,000, right? For example, why wouldn't you take that? But $1,000 is nothing compared to what we're about to. They say the worst is yet to come in the United States. So $1,000 can, yeah, temporarily fix a couple things, but then when that runs out, then what? That's why I say $1,000 is nothing. Um, it's not that I'm greedy, I'm just realistic. It's just not enough. I remember when many years ago, there were relief payments that were sent out, or tax refund and rebate checks that the government issued out, to families. People who had families, received $600 checks, and single working tax-paying people received $300 checks. And I mean, okay, that's good, but nominal in amount to what your output is, what we need to pay for on a consistent basis. If you have children who are home, from school, they need to eat around the clock, Monday, morning, noon, and night, and some snacks in between, right? You know, that $1,000 will be depleted in no time. So how does that momentum continue? How does it continue? These people are thinking about just infusing 1.5 trillion, 1 trillion, 850 million billion into the market. It's just, after a while, when you understand the valueless of cash, it's just the same. It almost becomes uh, like the same paper that we're gonna use to wipe our ass. You know, because it's just gonna be diluted. Inflation will continue to erode the value of the money, and then folks who understand how Bitcoin and crypto works, and as far as affording people an opportunity to sort of safeguard their assets and wealth, will see the benefit of UBI, the benefit of how blockchain technology, through decentralization, through its network effects, can really help the people the way that, I guess, Satoshi Nakamoto uh, envisioned the technology to envisioned the technology to how it should work, how it can help people, because this is, again, we're reliving something that, I'm reminded of 2008, and this is the time when the white paper was created, right? Or 2009, I forget. Got so much on my mind. But 2008, when the banks were just at such a low point, they had to be bailed out with hundreds of billions of dollars. Then subsequently, Bitcoin introduced itself to the world, right? Here we are, reliving something worse, even worse. And crypto's already in existence. Um, Sort of like, do the math, and figure out, hey, yeah, this is, yeah, like, figure out what works for you, but also kind of look at things. I think it's interesting to see the talks that people are engaging in. $1,000 for 1 month, and then you don't know when you're going to get something like that again. Should this continue as far as a crisis? People don't know how long this could last. You know, like, they don't know, and it's crazy, because to date, I remember when this was a talk back in November, you know, affecting China, and here we are in March, and that part of the world, the Asian part of the world, even in Europe, they're ahead of what's going on in the US. And what they've presented to the world is something that's incredibly scary. When you're talking about quarantine lockdowns, martial law, you know, they are, and they're still, from what I've seen and what I've been reading, they're still behind the curve. So imagine the US, my goodness, we still don't even have enough tests. We still don't even have enough tests to test people. I myself, haven't, I don't know. It's just too much. It's just so much out here, you know. To think about this sometimes it's just too much to even fathom. The effects are so wide reaching. We don't know how bad this is really going to become. So we all together have to just experience and go through it. Yes, it'll pass. It sure will pass. But when we talk about preparation, when we talking about getting together to or just preparation and weathering the storm, this is a storm of epic proportions, in my opinion. I don't see I don't see how uncertainty, and I don't see how lack of decision making and basically $1,000 for one just a one shot kind of situation can really help a seemingly long term problem that's happening right now that we don't see an end to anytime soon. We could project. People are afraid to make estimates because I guess they'll be held to it, or projections and issue timelines because they'll be held to it. But it's just crazy. It's crazy. Those of us who are in crypto, who are in cryptocurrency, this is why it's so important not only to do your own research, but don't talk about nonsense. Don't talk about, like at this point right now, what I mean by don't talk about nonsense, those projects that are just like super risky, what's the point? What's the point? Because you could brag about how successful you are on the project, et cetera, et cetera. But even in the equities market, so much money got shaved from the market out of just people selling and all types of nonsense with the coronavirus. The same money you had a month ago is not the same money you had today. If your money was in the market, if your money was even in crypto, and you just started in crypto, you're suffering. It's just crazy. If you've been in crypto for a good number of years and you've held on, you're still up. But to talk about just shady, nefarious projects when you know that's what they are, that's just a telling sign of how greedy a person is. That's just a thing of greed, you know, straight up greed, straight up greed. Because now more than ever, more than ever, your assets, protect them. Protect your ass as well as your assets. In the time that I made this video, that's the only car that's driven by. All right, people, take care.